0, the first of the line, 10J, and then $sign to go to the end. Let's open a VI in your terminal. This can be anywhere. This can be on your laptop. This can be in the server. So go to the terminal and type VI or VIM. So this is the Git tutorial repo that we have been using. So under that, if you click on the example underscore Racono log, it looks like this. And there's a button called raw. If you click that, you can see the address just changed into raw.github user content, and you can see the raw file. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and then let's come back to Vim. In the Vim, you do colon R for read, and then you're going to paste the address that we just copied. When I do enter, print some message like this, and then it prints the contents of the website into my Vim. Okay? So if you don't have this, you can type any random text in your Vim, so we can do something similar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press J to go down, K to go up. So if you feel the J key on your keyboard, there's a bump on your J. So with your index finger, you feel that there's a bump on your J. So whenever you put your hands on it, you know that it's J. And it is J, going down the script is the key that you most often use in scripting. So go up and down, try going up and down like this. And then, left and right is H and L. Press L to go right, H to go left. So this is basics. I'm going to do colon, VS space, note here. Vertical split, that you are opening a file called note. If it doesn't exist, Vim will open it, be ready to create them. I'm going to press enter. Since I didn't have anything in the note file, it loads nothing, but now we have split screen. On the screen on the right, what I want to do is I'm going to load another text file from the web. So I'm going back to the JIT. There will be Vim note. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on the Vim note.md file. And then I'm going to press on the raw to get the address of the raw text file. Okay, let me copy this. I'm going to copy the address and come back to Vim. This time, my cursor is on the right. I'm going to do colon again, colon, and then R for read, and then space, paste the address again, like this. My note is on the right. If you got it to this level, successful for the day. Now, here you do number and J. I'm going to do 3J, 3, and then J, 3J. Is going down 3 lines. You can do 100J. It goes down 100 lines. You can do 100K to go up 100 lines again. So you can put in number in front of your keystrokes. Okay? You can apply the same thing on the J and H to move around. So your cursor should be on the right. Your cursor should be on the right of the screen. How do I move back to the screen on the left? You do Control and then W twice. Control W, Control W. Can you move around? If you do Control W, it moves around. Okay? Alright, let's move around on the Racono file. And if you can do something like this, follow me. I'm gonna find, so my current cursor is on the line 3 here, but I'm gonna go down to here, which is 5 lines below. So I do 5J. Rather than typing J 5 times, I just do 5J. Okay, this time I wanna reach SMP here. What should I do? So I'm gonna do 5J again, and I'm gonna try 20L to go 20 to the right. More 20L, 10L. Okay, So rather than pressing all the buttons, you try to minimize the number of buttons, number of the keystroke that you make in VIM. So let's get to 64 that you see here. How would you get that? With the least number of keystrokes. I'm going to do 9J, and then I'm going to do, 7H. So you can get most of the places with few number of strokes, even when you just use JK, HL, and numbers. But there are more. Say when you go, so my cursor is, so I'm going to go up here. Let me go to generic. So I'm here. Say I want to go to the Linux, first of the line. You do this sign, then it takes you to the first of the line. That's the $sign. If you do $sign, it takes you to the end of the line. Okay, let's do that again. First end, first end. Let's see what happens when you type double G, GG, and then capital G, GG, capital G. So GG, capital G. So it takes you to the top of the line and end of the line. What happens if you do capital H? So it doesn't scroll up, but it takes you, your cursor, to the top of the line that you see. And when you watch what happens if you do L, capital L, it doesn't scroll, but it takes you to the end of the line that you see. H, L, H, L, H, L. So it doesn't scroll, but it just takes you around. Okay? What happens if you do Control D? So this sign on the right, the C is Control and pressing D together. So try doing Control D. Oops. Control D. Control D takes half page down. This is what I use most often in the script to go down and up. So D is down and U is up. Control D is down, Control U is up. Control down, Control up. This is basics, but you already know how to move around fast now. So let's try again. So get CentOS. From here, I'll do 9J, and then I'm gonna do 20L, 20L. Let's get S after kilobyte. I do 0 to go to the first of the line, 10J, and then $sign to go to the end. Okay, so when you do VI, I know you are busy most of the time when you open a script on the screen, but try just keep reminding yourself to minimize the number of strokes they use. It's going to be painful for the first few days, but you get amazingly faster. So let's do one more time. I'm going to get free software here, which is 13 up, and well, I'm already there. Okay, so that was basics. And this is really useful. F, and then some character. F, some character. So F stands for forward. I'm here on the word actual. I'm going to do F and then U. F and then U. Did you see what happened? F and U. F, U. It's taking your cursor to next whatever character you type. Now I'm going to do capital F and U, capital F and U, capital F and U. This time it's taking you back to the previous character. I'm going to try again. FU, FU, capital FU, capital FU. So here we just tried FU, if we tried capital FU. All right. Again, I'm going to do FE, 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 capital FE, capital FE, capital FE, capital FE. Okay? So using that, I'm going to get derivatives. I'm going to get to the D. I'm going to go from here, 7 up, and I'm going to get D. Because I know it's D, I'm going to do FD, FD. Can be useful, so try using that. Again, I'm going to get to 200 now. So that's 8 lines down, and then I'm going to get to first 2, F2. You're getting already very fast. I'm going to get Kevin. 5 up, and capital F, K. Okay? So that's one thing. So T is very similar, so have a go. T is just very similar. And W and B is word movement. So you type W, B. So it moves a little faster than pressing H and L. Okay, can come in quite handy. W and B. Okay, and this sharp and star sign, you know, we code quite a lot, and a lot of the paths like free suffer or local or free suffer home is repeated many times in the code. And what you do is you go on a word and you type sharp. Then it's going to take you to the previous word that happened in the document. If you press star sign, it's going to take you to the next word that you see in the document. Okay? So this was basics 1. I think is already quite a lot for a single day. So today we're going to wrap it up here. But please write down a few of them and then put it on your monitor or something. And just try learning a single key or 2 in a week. Then that's going to take you much faster. So for VIM, we're going to do basics 2 next time. Please try minimizing your keystrokes in your VIM whenever possible. Okay.